Well, guys, I am back. Happy, what is today? March 17th. So, happy St. Patrick's Day. No, I'm not wearing any green. Um, had a chance to just take a dial it back from last night. Earl Spence, absolute dominant performance over Mikey Garcia. I told you guys, whoever won and even whoever lost, credit to you. I also told you if either guy had a dominant performance, damn. Damn, man, that was. Oh wow. Talk about that was a shutout, man. If you want to give Mikey any rounds, for generosity, you could say round two was probably the most competitive. Not that Mikey didn't try in a couple of rounds. I think round six and maybe round 11, Mikey tried something, but ultimately, skills pays bills. Told you guys, I didn't think Mikey was the more skilled fighter. I thought the skill department was close, but actually, it wasn't close. To me, I thought Earl Spence outclassed Mikey Garcia. I also told you Mikey, being the smaller guy, would not have the outside range advantage because Earl Spence knows how to fight tall, unlike Robert Easter Jr. And I also thought Earl Spence was the more skilled inside fighter. And I told you guys, if the bigger fighter knows how to fight tall and he's more effective on the inside, that, to me, the only range Mikey could have real success would be in the mid range. And he wasn't even able to have that advantage. So, Mikey said Earl, was countering his counters. Mikey wasn't able to make the adjustments he needed. He wasn't able to push Earl back enough. And even when he did, it wasn't sustainable. But Earl Spence definitely showed a different side to him. A lot of people are probably shocked, like, oh my God, Earl Spence could box. But I know it wasn't just me that said this. Other people, who really follow the sport, that Earl Spence is a damn good boxer. I said this before too. Earl Spence, out of all the top current welterweights, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, they were Olympic alternates. Terrence Crawford, Danny Garcia, Mikey Garcia, phenomenal amateurs, but they didn't make the Olympics. The one who actually participated in the Olympics was Earl Spence Jr. So I told you, you don't make it that far and not be able to box, at least decently. It's on a computer system. It's computer scoring the count. So, um, Earl Spence dominated Mikey early and often with that jab. He was working off the jab. And I told you guys, if Mikey isn't able to counter Earl, I don't see how he's able to beat him. And, you know, being the smaller fighter, not being able to outwork the bigger guy, I don't see how he could win the fight. Now, I do give Mikey credit for this. Dude got a hell of a chin. He's tough. His brother wanted to stop the fight, I think, around 10, after round 9, after round 10. And Mikey was like, no, no, let me try. Um, I think Mikey Garcia led a lot of fans and people in general thought Earl Spence was just this Tito Trinidad Terminator, but you really I think they really underestimated Earl Spence's ability to box. I know Mikey in the post conference said that he reminds himself of him, but if that was the case, I think it would have been closer. I think it would have been more competitive if that was really the case, but I didn't think Mikey had the speed advantage. I didn't, I didn't think he was more skilled or anything. So, it was really like Mayweather versus Canelo Part Two. This was really a star-making performance for Earl Spence. You could tell he felt that little animosity towards the Ray Leonards and the George Foremans, Mike Tyson, Bernard Hopkins. They said either Earl would lose or win by split decision, what have you, but it was a complete dominant performance, and no one wants to hear him, renege, and I don't think Earl Spence he's going to be more like keep your congratulations. He was saying I was going to get beat and I wasn't the smarter fighter, this, that, and the third. So, kind of showing that kick rocks attitude, which I don't blame him. He felt disrespected as a boxer. Got to give Derek James. This dude is a hell of a trainer, man. What a game plan. I mean, and I like Robert Garcia as a trainer, but Derek James, hell of a game plan, bro. Dude, Derek James is a good ass trainer, man. Sorry, guys. Phenomenal trainer, great game plan, masterful performance, masterful execution of the game plan. Um, Earl Spence was, he didn't want to. Manny Pacquiao was the one that got in the ring. Sean Porter said, he might get in the ring or whatever. But it's hard to take these other welterweights seriously. I think Terrence Crawford is the only one who's legit down for the smoke. After this performance, that's really outside of AJ Wilder. That's probably the fight I would look forward to the most. I think that's kind of like the must see fight in boxing is Errol Spence versus Crawford and AJ versus Wilder. Canelo Jacobs is a great fight too. I think most people's worried about in that fight is the judges, just because the judges seem pretty biased towards Canelo. But AJ Wilder, Earl Spence, Crawford, I think those are the best fights to make right now. The rest of the welterweight division, I can't see Sean beating Earl Spence, even though he tried to outbox Ugas. You could argue Sean should have lost to Ugas. Could have gone either way. Keith Thurman started great versus Lopez, but the second half of the fight, it was 50-50 from that point. And Danny Garcia, he's 1-2 in his last fight. So, to me, Earl Spence and Crawford are clearly the top of the class. We'll see what happens with the Manny Pacquiao situation. Manny's really waiting on Floyd. I think he would rather retire after facing Floyd just because he can make more money in that fight regardless. It's funny how Floyd doesn't even fight actual boxers the last couple of years, and he still has weight over the welterweight division. If Floyd comes back to fight Manny, then Earl Spence will probably fight Sean next, and then probably Keith early 2020, and then hopefully Crawford at the end of the year. That doesn't happen, and Floyd stays retired. Then I can see Earl versus Pacquiao. I mean, like I said, Keith in his last performance, that's not a pay-per-view type of build-up. You almost got knocked out. How you worth a pay-per-view shot? Sean arguably lost. That's not worth a pay-per-view fight with Pacquiao. But Earl Spence dominating a undefeated 4-division world champion who called him out. And to me, it makes the most financial sense for everybody, really, if Pacquiao and Earl Spence. If Floyd doesn't come back, Pacquiao versus Earl Spence makes the most sense. Then I would probably see Keith Thurman versus Sean Porter probably at the end of the year. Although I don't know, because I think Keith really needs another tune-up. I wouldn't want to. Although I don't know, because Sean keeps trying to box. So if Sean tries to outbox Keith Thurman, I don't see how that. I think Sean would lose that fight too. So to me, Sean has to be more like the Sean Porter in 2016, 2015, and before. If he wants to beat Keith in a rematch, I don't think he'd outbox him. Like I said, I think he's been boxing more in preparation of Earl Spence, but like I said, I don't think Sean could outbox him. I don't think he could outwork him. I don't think he could outdog him in the inside. To me, I think Earl's got Sean cornered. He's got Keith cornered, Danny cornered. I don't see any of these PBC welterweights beating Earl Spence. Mikey was able to go the distance with him, which is impressive. I give Mikey credit. That may not be good though in a way, just because this type of fight psychologically could mess you up because everyone's main thing was it would be what competitive, and then Earl Spence would stop Mikey. And it's weird how boxing works because if that happened, people would say what Mikey was, he had the skill, but he was too small. But the fact that he got outclassed by the bigger guy, so he's not even more skilled. I think people might give, in a weird way, people actually might give Earl Spence more credit for shutting out Mikey rather than bulldoze knocking him out because that would just prove what everyone thought that Earl's just a weight bully. But the way that he beat Mikey in this fashion shows that he's definitely got more dimensions into his game. Um, so you got to give Earl that, give him his propers. We'll see what happens in the 147-pound division. A lot of, it's going to be a domino effect from whatever Floyd decides to do. Floyd comes back, he fights Pacquiao. They both retire to the sunset. Earl Spence, collects the other PBC belts. And then hopefully by end of 2020, him and TC can, pound for pound, can settle who's the top guy of the new generation. But yeah, man, that's really all I got for now. I think Fox did a really good job promoting the fight. Um, Commentary still needs a little bit work from Fox. I like Joe Goose as a trainer. Um, Commentary wise, he can come off as kind of biased. Um, I think he's a solid trainer, but as in commentator, he's a tad biased. It felt like he was reaching. Boy Ray Mancini, kind of the same. I think he was reaching a little bit. Um, you know, I don't have a problem if you think Mikey could have won, but it's funny when people say, I gave Mikey, 2 rounds. Okay, what rounds did you give him besides round two? You got to make people explain, and especially in a fight like that, being successful for 1 minute in a 3-minute round does not mean you won the round. That means you just did better than the rounds beforehand. But if you still got outworked the last 2 minutes, you still lost that round. So, like I said, the only round you could really give Mikey is round two, and that's being generous. So, um, just wow. That was an incredible performance, man. If you're a boxing fan, a real boxing fan, you would have enjoyed that. Just the levels. Drake got it best. There's really levels to this game, man. Kind of feel somewhat bad for Mikey because he got outclassed for 12 rounds, which I don't think he thought would happen. We'll see. I don't think he should. If he does drop to 135, I would marinate that drop very uh, carefully back down. I think 140 is probably the best weight for him. 135 if you can, but I think 140 is really where Mikey's going to have to campaign the rest of his career. Because you got to remember, Mikey's like 31. So I told you guys before, I'm not a huge fan of dropping down in weight when you're older. It's different when you're like 23, 24, 25, like my age. But I think the older you get, it's harder to hop all those weight divisions. Mikey didn't look. He kind of looked like Eric Morales when Eric Morales was campaigning at 140. I think he could compete at one. Eric Morales. He won a couple of fights at 140, but I don't think he can beat anyone serious at 140. And I think Mikey is kind of in that same boat. I think 147 he could compete, but I couldn't see him beating a top guy in that division. I think Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, those fights would be competitive, but I would still think Mikey would lose. But he got dominated by Errol Spence, so um, just wow. Definitely we'll have more coming throughout the week. Um, Sounds like Wilder's not gonna take that DAZN deal, which my guess would be they're not giving him contractually giving him AJ at the end of the deal. So Wilder's gonna say no go on that. Dude is Errol Spence. Yeah, I think Wilder. You got to give it to these boys, man. They're consistent, man. Let me know what you guys think about the performance of Errol Spence versus actually both performances, both fighters. Definitely give Mikey credit for daring to be great. And definitely give Earl his credit, for shutting the doubters, past legends. Y'all got it wrong going against the grain. It's not wrong if you want to go for people that look like you or come from similar backgrounds. That's fine. Um, if you're a Mexican and you support other Mexican fighters, that's great. If you're white and you support, other white fighters or, I don't know, whoever you can, link up with, Eastern Europeans, whatever, that's cool too. Blacks with blacks, that's fine. As long as you're still respectful to everybody, give credit where credit's due. Um, it's okay to root for people that look like you. I think that's totally normal. I think it's fine. I don't knock it, but you gotta support your peoples, man. So, other than that, enjoy the rest of your St. Patrick's Day. Y'all have a good one, and I'm out.